Move away, sir.
This is seat 1A.
That seat is mine.
Your ticket says otherwise.
Do not argue. His pass is valid.
Handle this now.
Read the seat number.
You've been reassigned.
Under what rule?
Stop wasting everyone's time.
Show me your ticket. I don't answer to you.
Take the other seat.
Give me the reason in writing.
Do you know who I am? I know where you're assigned. Sir, lower your voice. My voice is already low. You're delaying departure. He demanded my seat. I always sit here. Not today. Final warning. Gate assistance now. For what violation? Refusing instructions. Which safety instruction? Remove him. He hasn't done anything. Put that phone away. No. Sir, leave the aircraft. Write the reason.
You need to come with me.
Did you witness anything? He became confrontational. Name one threat.
Stop challenging the crew.
I asked for a rule. I asked for a rule.
Keep moving.
Who authorized my removal?
The crew did.
Preserve every version of the report.
You don't give orders here. I have the video. Stop recording.
Save the file.
Freeze the transfer.
All 6.2 billion?
Temporarily.
The board closes in minutes. Preserve every record.
What transfer?
Do I send the notice?
Send it now.
Who are you?
The man you removed.
Sir, step away from the seat. The first-class cabin fell silent as Marcus Reed held up a valid boarding pass and watched the purser call security anyway. Why was a calm passenger treated like a threat? Why did no one challenge the executive demanding his place? And why did Marcus, dressed in a plain coat and carrying a worn leather folder, refuse to reveal who he was? Minutes later, alone on the jet bridge, he heard the aircraft door seal and made one quiet call. Before the plane could leave, a $6.2 billion deal began to freeze. But the true cost had nothing to do with money and everything to do with a promise waiting across the country. Stay until the end. The lock clicked behind him at 9:18 a.m. Marcus stood on the jet bridge. Through the sealed door came the thud of an overhead bin, then the chime for passengers to fasten their seatbelts. Cold air pressed through the metal seams. "Mr. Reed?" Owen Price called. "Return to the terminal." Marcus watched the green indicator above the aircraft door reflect in his silver watch. His daughter's opening began at 4:30 in California. His phone vibrated. "Avery, I saved you a chair beside Mom's picture. Please don't make me explain the empty seat again." He read it twice. The bridge smelled of rubber flooring and stale coffee. Ground crews crossed the gray October tarmac beyond the windows. Owen came closer. "Arguing won't change the decision." "I'm not arguing." "You refused a crew instruction." "I asked for the written rule." "The report says more than that." Marcus turned. "Did you see what happened?" Owen glanced toward two gate agents. One lowered her eyes. "I have the crew statement." "That wasn't my question." Marcus opened the worn leather folio. His boarding pass was clipped inside. Seat 1A confirmed. Beneath it lay Avery's invitation and the investment packet. An old family photograph protruded between the pages. "Read this," Marcus said. Owen kept his hands down. "The flight is closed." An engine rose from a hum to a steady vibration. The floor trembled beneath Marcus's shoes. He slid the pass back into place. Avery called. "Dad?" Her voice echoed in a large room. "Are you already in the air?" Marcus looked at the sealed door. "Not yet. You said you'd be here before people arrived." "I know." "Is it the deal?" She tried to make the question casual. That hurt more than anger. "No." A chair scraped near her. "Mom's photo keeps leaning. I fixed it 3 times." "Leave it. I'll fix it when I get there." A pause. "You always say that." The call ended before he found a reply. Marcus touched the photograph. On its back, in Danielle's faded handwriting, were 6 words. "Choose the person before the deal." The aircraft sent another tremor through the bridge. He called Simone Carter. She answered at once. "You should be taxiing." "I was removed." A keyboard clicked. "Why?" "They gave my seat to Elliot Crane." The crew filed a hostile passenger report. "Were you hostile?" "No." "Witnesses?" "At least one recording." Her breathing changed. "What do you want?" "Invoke the governance risk clause. Freeze the transfer. All 6.2 billion? Temporarily. No layoffs, no public statement, no withdrawal until we know whether this was one bad decision or a protected practice. The board closes in 12 minutes. Then they have 12 minutes to preserve every record. Behind the door, the safety announcement began. Owen stared at Marcus. Simone asked, "What reason do I give?" Marcus looked toward the terminal. Both gate agents had stopped pretending not to listen. Tell them their future investor was removed from first class for asking them to follow their own rules. He ended the call. At 9:20 a.m., the first notice left Simone's office, and hours earlier, Marcus had believed the hardest promise of the day would be keeping one chair from staying empty. At 5:42 a.m., Marcus stood barefoot on the hotel carpet, trying to close the worn leather folio without bending the photograph inside. The cool room smelled of bitter coffee. October mist blurred the runway lights beyond the glass. His phone lit up. Avery, the doors open at 4. Please don't arrive after the speeches. Marcus typed, "I'll be there before the first guest," then erased it. "I'm on the morning flight. I'll come straight from the airport." 3 dots appeared, vanished, then returned. Avery, that's not the same promise. Inside the folio lay the final packet for the $6.2 billion aviation agreement and an invitation. Avery Reed. Opening night. Beneath it was a photograph of Marcus, Danielle, and Avery on a windy beach 12 years earlier. He turned it over. Choose the person before the deal. Danielle had written the words after he missed Avery's school award ceremony for a merger meeting. He had promised there would be no next time. There had been many. Simone Carter called. "You're awake," she said. "I'm dressed." "You're not. I can hear the coffee machine." Marcus glanced at the navy turtleneck beside his charcoal coat. "The documents are ready. The board wants you in San Aurelio by noon. Crane is pushing for an amendment." "What amendment?" 3 advisory seats for his people." "No." That was my answer. "Put it in writing." "I already did." A keyboard clicked. "Take the funds aircraft. A commercial delay could cost you the opening." "Avery asked me to come as her father." "You're still her father on a private plane. Not when 6 people enter behind me carrying folders." Simone exhaled. "At least take Daniel Cole." "No staff. No introductions. You plan to cross the country unnoticed?" "That's the idea." Marcus ended the call, dressed, and fastened the silver watch Danielle had given him on their 20th anniversary. Its second hand ticked. At 6:18, the elevator opened onto the lobby. A porter reached for the folio instead of the small suitcase. "I've got it," Marcus said. "Important papers?" "An important photograph." Outside, wet pavement shone beneath the canopy. Marcus declined the waiting sedan and boarded an airport shuttle. Dusty heat blew against his shoes. Avery called as the shuttle entered the terminal road. "Did I wake you?" Marcus asked. "I'm at the studio." "It's barely 6. One ceiling light keeps flickering." "Call the electrician." "He said noon." "Send me a picture of the room." White walls appeared on his screen. Unfinished wood tables. Folding chairs in uneven rows. Beside a framed photograph of Danielle stood one empty chair. "I saved that one for you," Avery said. Marcus pressed his thumb to the screen. "I'll fill it." "You said that last year at the housing award." "I remember." "So do I." The shuttle doors folded open with a pneumatic sigh. Cold terminal air rushed inside. Marcus lifted his suitcase, then stopped when the photograph caught in the folio zipper. He freed the corner and smoothed the crease with 2 fingers before stepping into the crowd. At the departure board, Flight 714 still showed on time. For the first time that morning, Marcus allowed himself to believe the chair would not stay empty. At 7:06 a.m., Marcus joined the first-class line with his folio beneath one arm and his suitcase behind him. The gate smelled of cinnamon pastry and floor polish. An announcement crackled overhead. Ahead, a broad-shouldered man in a gray suit slapped his boarding pass onto the counter. "This says 2C," he said. "I sit in 1A." The gate agent kept her smile fixed. "Mr. Crane, 1A was assigned weeks ago." "Then unassign it." Marcus knew the name from the deal files. Elliot Crane, aviation advisor, seeking 3 board seats. A woman in a Navy uniform approached, smoothing an already perfect passenger list. "Mr. Crane," she said warmly, "I'm Valerie Sloan, senior cabin attendant. We'll take care of this." Her eyes moved to Marcus's plain coat, then to the 1A printed on his pass. "Sir, did you receive an upgrade this morning?" "No." "Employee travel?" "No." She waited for him to explain himself. Marcus did not. Behind her stood Graham Vale, the gray-haired cabin manager. He checked his watch and leaned toward Crane. "We can make a small adjustment after boarding." Crane smiled. "I don't want a discussion in the aisle." "You won't have one." The words were quiet, but Marcus heard them. At 7:12, boarding began. His pass flashed green. The gate agent handed it back. "Seat 1A. Turn left at the aircraft door." Crane stepped close enough for Marcus to smell mint and aftershave. "That seat has been mine for 6 years. Today, it's on my ticket. Do you know who I am?" Marcus pulled his suitcase forward. "I know what your boarding pass says." A few passengers looked up. Valerie flattened the corners of her list again. Inside the jet bridge, morning light struck the glass. Marcus checked his phone while the line stalled. Avery had sent a photograph of the studio ceiling. One lamp glowed. The chair beside Danielle's picture remained empty. Avery. "Electrician says it may hold through tonight." Marcus typed, "So will I." Before he sent it, Graham appeared beside him. "Mr. Reed, I need a word." "About what?" "Seating. My seat is printed there. We're asking for flexibility." "Who is we?" Graham's smile thinned. "The crew." Crane stood behind them, speaking into his phone. "Yes, I'm boarding. They found the problem." Marcus looked back. "You called me a problem before I reached the plane?" "I didn't say that," Graham replied. "He did." The line pressed forward. Suitcase wheels clicked over each joint in the floor. Valerie joined them near the aircraft door. "There's a seat in the last row of business class. More privacy, actually." "Then Mr. Crane may enjoy it." Her lips parted, but no answer came. Tessa Bell, an older flight attendant arranging welcome glasses inside the cabin, stopped pouring. Graham lowered his voice. "You're delaying boarding. I'm standing where your staff told me to stand. Take the alternative seat. Show me the policy that permits you to remove a confirmed passenger for someone else's preference." Behind Marcus, the line went still. Valerie folded the list once. "Let's not make this unpleasant." Marcus sent Avery the message. "So will I." Then he stepped across the aircraft threshold and saw Elliot Crane's jacket already draped over seat 1A. Elliot's jacket covered half of seat 1A, one sleeve hanging across the armrest like a claim already settled. Marcus stopped in the doorway. Cool cabin air moved beneath his coat, carrying coffee and citrus cleaner. Valerie lifted the jacket. "Mr. Reed, we've prepared another seat." "Which one?" 8D business class. My ticket says 1A. "It's a small adjustment." Marcus opened his folio to the boarding pass. "Show me the rule that allows it." Graham stepped beside her. "The crew may reassign seats for operational needs." What operational need? We don't discuss internal procedures. You're asking me to surrender a purchased seat. The procedure is the reason. A woman across the aisle lowered her newspaper. Elliot entered behind them. Are we still doing this? Valerie turned. We're resolving it. You said that downstairs. Marcus looked at Graham. Is Mr. Crane part of the crew? No. Then why is he directing this? He isn't. I prefer this seat, Elliot said. They know my requirements. Marcus held up his pass. Mine are printed here. Valerie's smile disappeared. Mr. Reed, move to 8D now. Is that a request or an instruction? An instruction. Under which policy? The cabin quieted. First, the nearest passengers stopped speaking. Then, the ice in Elliot's untouched glass cracked sharply. Tessa Bell stood by the galley curtain with a tray pressed to her waist. Graham lowered his voice. You're creating a disturbance. I have not raised my voice, blocked the aisle, or refused a safety instruction. You're refusing a crew instruction. I'm asking whether it follows your rules. A man in 2A turned toward the window. The woman with the newspaper folded it smaller without reading. Elliot dropped into 1C. Remove him and board the flight. Marcus faced him. You just told them what to do. I told them to stop wasting time. Valerie reached for the folio. Marcus placed one hand over it. Please don't touch my documents. Her fingers froze above the leather. Graham pointed down the aisle. Take 8D. I'm already standing. A few passengers laughed nervously, then stopped when Graham looked back. At 7:19, the boarding line jammed at the door. One passenger lifted a phone, then lowered it when Valerie noticed. We can offer travel credit, she said. I didn't ask for compensation. Then what do you want? The seat I purchased, or a written explanation. We don't issue those on board. Then call the gate manager. Graham checked his watch. No, you will move now. Marcus folded the pass along its existing crease. Avery's invitation remained visible beneath it, 4:30 p.m. printed in pale gold. Tessa stepped forward. Graham, his documentation appears valid. He did not turn. Return to the galley. She stopped. The tray trembled once against her uniform. Valerie pointed toward the rear cabin. Last chance, Mr. Reed. Marcus lifted the folio from 1A. Elliot immediately rose, ready to take the seat. Marcus did not move down the aisle. Is that your final decision? Graham asked. No, Marcus said. It's yours. Graham reached for the interphone, and every passenger close enough to hear suddenly found something else to look at. Graham pressed the interphone button. Gate assistance to the aircraft door. Marcus remained beside 1A, his folio flat against his chest. Cold air from the vent crossed his knuckles. Valerie stepped closer. You can still prevent this. By giving Mr. Crane my seat? By cooperating. I am cooperating with every safety instruction. You are refusing to move. I am refusing an unexplained downgrade. Elliot rose from 1C and checked his watch. Some of us have business to conduct. Marcus glanced at him. So do I. Then act like it. A woman in 2D lifted her phone. She was in her early 30s, with dark curls pinned loosely back and a canvas laptop bag under her feet. Valerie noticed. Ma'am, recording crew members is not permitted. The woman kept filming. Which policy? My name is Lena Ortiz, she said. I'm documenting a passenger dispute. This is a private aircraft environment, Graham replied. It's a commercial flight. Put the phone away. No. The word changed the cabin. Someone behind her whispered, Keep filming. Graham faced Marcus. Your refusal is delaying departure. Marcus looked past him at the boarding line trapped on the jet bridge. A businessman stared at the floor. No one complained about the delay. No one defended him either. "Then write the reason for removing me," Marcus said. "I don't owe you a document. You owe your report the truth." Valerie reached for his suitcase. "I'll take this." Marcus moved it behind his leg. "No." Her hand stopped. The gate manager appeared at the doorway, breathing hard. "What's happening?" Graham answered first. "Passenger is refusing a lawful instruction and becoming confrontational." Marcus said, "Ask him what instruction." The manager looked at Marcus's ticket. "Sir, I'm Owen Price. We need you off the aircraft while we sort this out." "Will my seat remain empty?" Owen glanced at Elliot. That was the answer. Marcus held out the boarding pass. Owen barely looked at it. "Please step onto the jet bridge." "Am I being removed for safety?" "For non-compliance." "With what?" Owen rubbed his thumb along his badge. "Sir, don't make this harder." Marcus waited. The buckle from the empty seat slipped from the cushion and struck the floor with a metallic click. The loose belt lay near his shoe. Lena lowered her phone enough to meet his eyes. "I have the whole thing." Valerie said, "Ma'am, you may be removed too." Lena raised it again. "Then say that clearly." Tessa stood by the galley, a paper cup bending beneath her fingers. Coffee beaded around the lid. Marcus put the pass back inside the folio. He picked up his suitcase and stepped away from 1A. Elliot slid into the seat before Marcus reached the door. No one spoke. At the threshold, Marcus turned to Owen. "I want the names of everyone making this decision. You can request them at the desk. And preserve the cabin report." Graham gave a short laugh. "You don't direct our records." Marcus held his gaze. "Not yet." He stepped onto the jet bridge. The door began closing behind him, cutting off the warm cabin light inch by inch, while Lena's phone remained visible through the narrowing gap. The aircraft door sealed with a padded thud behind Marcus. On the jet bridge, Owen pointed toward the terminal. "This way." Marcus waited until the locking light changed from amber to green. Engine vibration traveled through the floor. Cold air leaked around the window frames. "Am I barred from the flight?" "You've been removed from this one." "For what exact conduct?" "We'll discuss it at the desk." Inside the cabin, Graham took the tablet from Valerie and opened the incident form. Tessa stood nearby, still holding the paper cup. The lid had buckled beneath her thumb, and a thin brown line of coffee crept over its rim. "Use refused repeated safety instructions," Valerie said. Tessa looked toward the sealed door. "It wasn't a safety instruction." Graham stopped typing. "What did you say?" "He asked for the seat policy." He never raised his voice. Elliot called from 1A. "Are we leaving or holding a seminar?" "Return to the galley, Tessa," Graham said. She obeyed, but slowly. On the jet bridge, Owen's radio crackled. "Gate 7. Confirm disruptive passenger removed." Owen lifted it. "Confirmed." Marcus looked at him. "You never interviewed me." "I saw enough." "You arrived after they called." Owen's jaw tightened. "Keep walking." At the desk, a gate agent slid Marcus's suitcase tag across the counter without meeting his eyes. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. A printer coughed out a receipt. "Your bag will be returned," she said. "I want a copy of the report." "That isn't available." "Then note my request and the time," Owen typed. A red banner appeared beside Marcus's name. Hostile conduct. Crew safety concern. Who entered that wording? The cabin manager. When? Owen closed the window. File a complaint online. Back on board, Elliot leaned into the aisle and held up his phone. Corporate wants this clean. No ambiguity. Graham reopened the form. Its first sentence read, "Passenger questioned reassignment and declined alternate seating." Elliot watched until Graham deleted it. The replacement appeared word by word. Passenger became verbally aggressive, obstructed boarding, and refused multiple crew safety directives. Tessa saw the change in the galley mirror. "The line was already moving," she said. Valerie turned. "Enough. You're changing what happened. We're documenting escalation." There wasn't any. Graham locked the tablet. "One more comment and I'll write you up." The crushed cup cracked softly in Tessa's hand. Coffee spilled over her knuckles, hot enough to make her flinch, but she did not release it. Across the aisle, Lena hid her phone beneath a folded magazine. A warning flashed. Airplane mode required. She selected the video and watched the upload bar crawl over the gate network. 38%. Valerie approached. "Your phone must be switched off." "I'm saving my work." "Immediately. Give me 10 seconds. You have none." At the gate, Marcus's phone vibrated with an unknown message. "I recorded everything. They're rewriting the report." He looked through the terminal glass at the aircraft and typed one question. "Is the file safe?" Inside 2D, Lena watched the upload freeze at 97% as the cabin lights dimmed for departure. The upload bar held at 97%. Lena kept the phone beneath the magazine while Valerie stood over her. "Power it down." "In a second." "Now." A chime sounded. The screen went black. At the gate, Owen printed a slip and placed it face down. "Your boarding has been canceled." Marcus turned it over. "Involuntary removal. Security review." "Who authorized that?" "The cabin report." "You haven't taken my statement." "I don't need one to protect the flight." Marcus opened the folio. He laid out the confirmed 1A pass, his identification, and the invitation to the noon signing in San Aurelio. The last page showed the figure $6.2 billion. Owen's eyes paused there, then shifted away. "This isn't relevant." "It explains why I must arrive today." "You should have considered that before refusing the crew." Marcus folded the invitation along its edge. "You still haven't named a safety instruction." A baggage cart rattled beyond the glass. One gate agent approached with Marcus's suitcase. Its tag spun in the draft. "Bag removed," she said. "Thank you, Nina," Owen replied. She set it beside Marcus but did not leave. "I scanned him into 1A. There was no duplicate assignment." Owen looked at her. "Return to your position." "I thought the record should show." "Now." Nina walked back to the desk, shoulders drawn in. Marcus watched her go. Add her statement. "This conversation is over." "Then give me your full name and employee number." Owen tapped his badge. "It's visible." "Read it aloud." The printer behind him clicked and released a blank page. "Owen Price, Gate Operations Manager." Marcus wrote it on the removal slip. "And the time." 7:26. Marcus checked his silver watch. 7:29. Owen's mouth tightened. "You're not boarding another flight until the review clears." "When?" "Hours. Maybe days." Avery's opening was 9 hours away. Marcus could charter a plane and turn the day back into an executive operation. His thumb touched the photograph inside the folio. Choose the person before the deal. He called Avery. The line went to voicemail. "This is Dad. Something happened at the airport. I'm finding another way. Don't move the chair." He ended the call before making another promise. Inside the aircraft, Lena's phone restarted in airplane mode. The upload screen returned. 97%. She angled it toward the window, where the terminal network barely reached. 98. Graham appeared beside her. Hand me the phone. No. You're interfering with an investigation. You haven't started one. He extended his palm. Around them, passengers became still. Lena pressed the phone to her chest. I'm not deleting it. Graham turned to Valerie. Document her refusal. At the gate, the aircraft door indicator flashed green. Owen lifted the microphone. Flight 714 is closed. The jet bridge pulled away. The gap widened, exposing the aircraft door and the man now seated in 1A. Marcus stood beside his suitcase as the bridge detached. His phone vibrated. Unknown number. File saved. They changed the report after you left. Marcus looked up at the plane, no longer connected to the terminal, and saw Owen watching the message reflected in the glass. The jet bridge had begun retracting when Marcus's phone rang again. Avery. He answered. I'm here. You're not on the plane. Her voice echoed through the studio. Metal legs scraped across concrete. No. What happened? Marcus watched the aircraft ease backward. Through the glass, seat 1A vanished behind the fuselage. They removed me. For what? They haven't decided yet. That isn't funny. I know. A light clicked on at her end, then buzzed. The first guests arrive in 8 hours. I put Mom's picture by your chair because you said you'd be there. Marcus sat on the narrow bench. Cold vinyl pressed through his trousers. His suitcase stood beside him, its paper tag turning in the draft. Avery, listen. No. You listen. Her breath caught. I can survive you missing another event. I just needed you not to make me believe this one was different. The line went quiet. The room seemed to breathe through the phone. I'm finding another flight, Marcus said. You always find another flight. The call ended. He kept the phone at his ear until only the hiss of the empty studio remained. Owen returned. You need to leave the secure area. I will? Now. Marcus opened the folio on his knees. The family photograph rested beside Avery's invitation. Danielle's handwriting showed beneath it. Choose the person before the deal. He called Simone. Tell me you're airborne, she said. I'm not. A pause. How bad? My access is under review. I may miss the signing. We can move it online. I'll open the documents. Marcus looked toward the aircraft. How many employees depend on the financing? More than 12,000. And if we delay? The company will blame us before noon. Prepare the signature page. Her keyboard clicked. You're going to sign? I'm considering it. Owen gestured toward the terminal. Mr. Reed. Marcus rose. As they passed the sealed door, voices came through the service speaker, thin but clear. Graham was dictating. Passenger became verbally aggressive after multiple warnings. Marcus stopped. Owen reached for the switch, but Marcus raised one hand. He blocked the aisle. Graham continued, intimidated crew, and implied consequences if we enforced safety rules. That's false, Marcus said. Owen switched the speaker off. You were told to leave. You heard him. I heard an internal report. You heard him invent one. Owen's face tightened. Walk. Marcus stayed where he was. The terminal beyond the glass was bright and crowded, but the bridge felt like a cold passage between locked doors. His phone chimed. Simone had sent the signature packet. All it required was his thumb. The button read, Authorize transfer. One touch would protect the timetable, the market, and thousands of workers who had never heard his name. It would also tell everyone inside that aircraft the lie had worked. From the dark speaker came Graham's voice. Add that he threatened our careers. Marcus closed the document without signing. He called Simone back. Don't release the money, he said. How long? Until every record is preserved. The aircraft began rolling toward the runway, and Marcus heard Owen whisper into his radio, "We may have a bigger problem." "Say that again," Simone said. Marcus stood at the mouth of the jet bridge while Owen's radio hissed. Beyond the glass, Flight 714 rolled toward the taxi lane, its engines deepening into a vibration that trembled through the metal floor. "Freeze the transfer," Marcus said. "Invoke the governance risk clause." "All 6.2 billion? Temporarily." Owen turned. "You can't stay here." Marcus raised one finger. 30 seconds. Simone's keyboard clicked. The clause requires a credible threat to oversight, safety reporting, or executive integrity. You have all three. What evidence? A false incident report, a witness recording, and an advisor directing employees to alter the record. That gets us a hold, not a conclusion. I'm not asking for one. The aircraft paused near the runway. Warm exhaust blurred the red lights along its wing. Simone lowered her voice. "If I send this, the board may announce that we walked away. We haven't. They may cut shifts to create pressure. Add a labor protection condition. No layoffs, furloughs, or vendor cancellations tied to the hold. You're adding terms while I draft. I'm preventing them from using workers as a shield." Owen stepped closer. "Mr. Reed, the secure area is closing." Marcus looked at him. "Then preserve the gate logs before it does." Owen's radio crackled. "Operations, confirm passenger incident filed." He pressed the button. "Filed." "Not accurately," Marcus said. Owen did not answer. Simone returned. "I need exact language for the board notice." Marcus opened the folio on the counter. The family photograph slid against Avery's invitation. He placed 2 fingers over Danielle's handwriting. "Say the investment committee identified a material governance risk arising from possible falsification of a passenger safety report and improper influence by an airline advisor. That will stop the closing. That is the purpose. For how long? Until records are preserved, witnesses are interviewed, and an independent reviewer decides whether this was isolated. And if it wasn't?" Marcus watched the plane's nose turn toward the runway. Then the deal changes. A gate agent hurried toward Owen. Corporate is asking why dispatch put a hold on the aircraft. Owen stared through the glass. The plane had stopped. Simone's voice sharpened. "Marcus, once I send this, there's no quiet way back." "There shouldn't be." "What about Avery?" The question landed harder than the engine noise. Marcus checked his watch. 9:20 a.m. "I'm still going to her." "How?" "I'll solve that after this." He heard Simone breathe once, then the muted click of her mouse. "Sending now." The gate printer woke with a mechanical whir. Owen's monitor flashed red. Around them, phones began ringing at 3 desks at once. Marcus's screen lit up. Delivered. At that exact moment, the aircraft engines rose, then fell silent. Owen read the alert twice. "What did you do?" Marcus closed the folio. "I asked your company to keep the truth from leaving with the plane." The jet bridge controls beeped behind them. Outside, a ground vehicle turned toward Flight 714, and the aircraft began moving back toward the gate. The aircraft stopped 20 yards from the gate. Inside first class, passengers leaned toward the windows as the engines faded. Elliot Crane pressed the call button. "What is happening?" Before Valerie could answer, Graham's tablet chimed. "Corporate hold. Return to gate." Tessa saw his face change. "They preserved the report?" "Sit down," Graham said. At the terminal, Owen answered a ringing phone. "Yes, the passenger is here." He listened, watching Marcus. Understood. He covered the receiver. Corporate wants you in the conference room. First, preserve the gate video. They're handling it. Who? Rebecca Lang's office. The jet bridge rolled forward. When the aircraft door reopened, Graham appeared. Mr. Reed, there seems to have been a misunderstanding. Marcus stayed where he was. Preserve your original notes. They're in the system. So are the edits. Lena stood behind him, phone raised. Mine too. Valerie reached toward it, but Owen stepped between them. No one touches anything. Elliot pushed through the curtain, jacket over one arm. Put him on another flight and let us leave. Owen's radio crackled. Chief executive and legal counsel arriving. Elliot stopped. Marcus looked at seat 1A. I'm not reboarding. Graham blinked. We can restore your seat. That is no longer the issue. What do you want? Valerie asked. Every record secured. Every witness identified. No retaliation against anyone who speaks honestly. Tessa's crushed cup remained on the galley counter. Rebecca Lang, 51, silver-haired in a dark green suit, entered with transaction director Daniel Cole and 2 attorneys with evidence bags. Mr. Reed, she said, I was told you threatened the crew. Ask the passengers. Lena lifted her phone. I recorded everything. Rebecca turned to Graham. Collect no devices. Alter no reports. Contact no witnesses without counsel. Elliot stepped forward. Rebecca, this is being exaggerated. She ignored him. Were you assigned seat 1A? No, but I've used it for years. Today? He said nothing. Elliot removed his jacket from the seat. Daniel opened the alert on his tablet. The $6.2 billion transfer is suspended. The board cannot close without Mr. Reed's authorization. Valerie stared at Marcus. You're the investor? The lead investor, Daniel said, and chair of the oversight committee. Rebecca faced Marcus. We can return you to the aircraft, depart within 20 minutes, and discuss compensation privately. No compensation. Then name your terms. Independent review, preserved recordings, written protection for employees and passengers who cooperate. And the deal. When the facts are secure, we discuss it. Rebecca nodded. Agreed. Marcus's phone vibrated. Avery had sent a photograph from the studio. One lamp, Danielle's portrait, and the empty chair beside it. He turned the screen face down. Behind him, Tessa removed her badge and placed it beside the crushed cup. I need to give a statement. Rebecca looked at her. Then you'll be first. An attorney sealed Graham's tablet inside a clear bag. The false report left his hands without leaving the record. The conference room clock showed 10:07 a.m. when Miriam Shaw placed 3 sealed evidence bags on the table. She was 44 and spoke without raising her voice. No one deletes a message or contacts another witness. Understood? Rebecca nodded. Graham said nothing. Marcus sat at the far end with his folio closed before him. The room smelled of burnt coffee and warm toner. Miriam turned to Lena. Start the recording. Lena connected her phone to the wall monitor. The first image showed Marcus beside 1A, boarding pass in hand. Valerie's voice filled the room. We've prepared another seat. Then Marcus, show me the rule that allows it. No shouting, no threat. Only the cabin hum and the crack of ice in Elliot's glass. Graham shifted. The video begins after earlier conduct. Lena paused it. No, I started before he entered. Play the original file, Miriam said. It is the original. Daniel checked the metadata. Continuous recording. No cuts. The footage continued. Graham calling Marcus confrontational. Owen arriving after the accusation. Elliot saying, remove him and board the flight. Rebecca looked toward Elliot's empty chair. Play the part at the door again. Lena rewound it. Marcus's recorded voice remained level. I want the names of everyone making this decision. Miriam stopped the video. Where is the threat? Tone can be threatening. What word was threatening? He implied consequences. He requested record preservation, Marcus said. Miriam glanced at him. You'll have your turn. He inclined his head. An analyst entered with system logs. We recovered 3 versions of the report. He laid them side by side. The first read, Passenger questioned reassignment and declined alternate seating. The second added obstruction. The final accused Marcus of aggression and threats. Miriam tapped the timestamps. Final edit occurred 7 minutes after removal. Valerie stared at the pages. Graham told me he was clarifying. Did you see aggression? No. Threats? No. Why approve it? Valerie looked down. Mr. Crane expected the seat, and Graham said corporate would support us. A chair creaked near the wall. Tessa stood. Her hands shook as she unclipped her badge. She placed it beside Lena's phone, where the paused image still showed Marcus alone in the aisle. This was not the first time. Rebecca's eyes narrowed. Explain. Passengers were moved for internal VIP codes. Complaints were rewritten as service misunderstandings. How many? More than 5, maybe 10. Why didn't you report it? Tessa pressed one finger over the scratched edge of her badge. 28 years here. My pension vests in 9 months. No one interrupted. I told myself the next one would be different, she said. Then I watched him ask for one written rule, and I still carried the coffee back to the galley. Marcus noticed the brown stain drying on her cuff. Miriam gathered the logs. We are expanding the review. How far? Rebecca asked. All involuntary seat changes tied to privileged customer codes for the past 3 years. The printer started. Page after page slid into the tray. On the first sheet, a red stamp appeared beside a complaint number. Closed. The printer stopped after 14 pages. Miriam Shaw spread them across the table. Each carried the same red stamp. Closed. Same code on every case, Daniel said. PX-1. Rebecca leaned over a file. Meaning? Tessa answered. Priority exception. It was meant for medical needs, security, or operational problems. Miriam tapped a Denver complaint. This passenger was moved because a board advisor wanted the window. Another described a woman reassigned after refusing to surrender a bulkhead seat purchased for a broken ankle. The final note called it a misunderstanding. Marcus kept the investment packet inside his folio. Who approved the closures? The analyst turned his laptop around. Customer experience. Most went through Celia Mercer. Celia entered 10 minutes later in a cream suit. I was told the closing is being held over a seat complaint. 14 complaints, Miriam said. Celia glanced at the files. Those were resolved. By changing their category. By avoiding unnecessary escalation. Marcus slid one folder toward her. An executive's guest demanded this passenger's seat. Frontline employees need discretion, Celia said. Without a written reason? Miriam asked. We serve high-value customers. So do false records, Marcus said. Celia looked at him. We can provide a refund, premium status, and private transportation to California. My daughter's opening began without me. Her smile vanished. Rebecca asked, Did you order teams to use PX-1 for influential passengers? I told them to protect relationships. Answer the question. Celia removed her glasses. In limited situations. How limited? She looked at the 14 red stamps. Miriam opened an archived memo. You wrote, Resolve first. Document minimally. and avoid language that could trigger formal review. That is out of context. Then provide it. Celia reached for water. The glass clicked against her ring. We were under pressure to improve complaint metrics. Daniel pushed a compensation sheet across the table. Your bonus increased when formal complaints fell below target. Rebecca read it twice. You tied pay to fewer complaints, to resolution rates. You made complaints disappear. At 10:46 a.m., 2 board members joined by video. One offered to restore the transfer if Marcus accepted a settlement and allowed an internal review. Marcus closed the folio. No. A director frowned. 12,000 jobs depend on this financing. That is why the hold protects employees. We can sign today and audit later. You had 3 years to audit. Rebecca asked, what would satisfy you? An external review with access to complaint archives, executive messages, compensation records, and the full VIP code history. That could take weeks. Then the deal waits. Celia leaned forward. You would risk an entire company over 14 passengers? Marcus looked at the files, then at Tessa's badge beside Lena's phone. No, you risked it when you decided 14 people were easier to erase than one bad rule. Miriam stacked the folders in an evidence box. As she sealed it, the analyst's screen flashed. Wait. PX1 had not been used 14 times. It had been used 83. At 11:03 a.m., the analyst expanded the PX1 report across the monitor. 83 seat changes, 41 complaints, 14 closed. The rest had never entered the system. Rebecca removed her glasses. Who approved this code? Customer experience, cabin leadership, and executive advisors, Miriam said. Mr. Crane used it 27 times. The door opened. Elliot entered without his jacket. PX1 was a courtesy tool, he said. Miriam turned the screen toward him. Did you request seat 1A? I expressed a preference. Did you call corporate? I called someone I know. Lena's recording played his voice. They found the problem. Elliot's jaw tightened. That proves nothing. It proves influence, Daniel said. The board has removed you from its advisory council, effective immediately. Elliot faced Marcus. You froze a multi-billion-dollar agreement over a seat. Marcus kept both hands on the closed folio. No, I froze it over a lie. Miriam held the door open. Elliot left without another word. Graham was called in next. Miriam placed the 3 versions of his report before him. Which one is true? The final version reflects the situation. Then why did the first say, Mr. Reed only questioned reassignment? I clarified after reviewing the event. You deleted your own accurate sentence. I was protecting the crew. Tessa stood near the wall, her badge still on the table. You were protecting yourself. Graham looked at her. You don't understand the pressure. I stood 3 feet away. Rebecca slid a notice across the table. Your access is suspended. Your employment ends pending final review. His fingers could not lift the page. Paper rasped beneath his nails. Valerie entered after him. Her service card hung from a blue cord, worn white at one corner. Did you know there was no lawful reason to move Mr. Reed? Miriam asked. Valerie stared at the card. Yes. Why proceed? Mr. Crane complained about people by name. Schedules changed after his calls. Promotions disappeared. So you chose the easier passenger. Valerie swallowed. I chose the person I thought had less power. No one moved. She removed the card and laid it beside Tessa's badge. A small family photograph was taped to its back. Valerie covered it with her palm. I knew he was right, she said. That was the worst part. Marcus saw the photograph's edge, then Avery's unanswered message on his phone. "I don't want an apology written by counsel," he said. "Give the investigators everything." Valerie nodded. "I will." Celia remained seated when Rebecca handed her a resignation agreement. "You cannot blame one department," Celia said. "Executives wanted cleaner numbers." "Then name them," Miriam replied. Celia's ring tapped the water glass. She pushed it away. "I'll provide the messages." Rebecca signed the suspension orders. "The board meets at 2. Marcus opened his folio and removed the unsigned transfer page. "Not to close the deal," he said. Rebecca looked up. "To decide whether this company will change the rules that made today possible." Outside the room, workers removed the old privilege code notice from the gate. A pale rectangle remained on the wall, waiting for whatever came next. At 2 p.m., the boardroom doors closed. Marcus placed the unsigned transfer page at the center of the table. Rebecca Lang folded her hands. "The board accepts an external audit." "That is the beginning," Marcus said. Miriam distributed a proposal. The first line read, "No involuntary seat reassignment without a documented operational reason and independent confirmation." "Two-person authorization," Rebecca said. "And a written explanation before removal," Marcus added. "What if departure is imminent?" a director asked. "Then urgency is recorded, not used as an excuse." Daniel pointed lower on the page. "A protected reporting channel for employees." Tessa sat near the wall, her stained cuff hidden beneath one sleeve. "Anonymous reports used to return to the same managers." "The new channel goes outside the company," Miriam said. "Retaliation triggers review." Marcus looked at the 83 PX1 entries. "This will cost less than pretending they did not exist." Rebecca turned the page. "Executive bonuses tied to verified compliance instead of fewer complaints." Celia's empty chair remained pushed back. "No reward for making numbers disappear," Marcus said. For 43 minutes, they argued over audit access, appeals, labor protections, and advisor exceptions. Whenever discussion drifted toward public relations, Marcus touched the unsigned transfer page. Rules first, statements later. At 2:51, the vote appeared on the monitor. 9 in favor, 1 opposed. Rebecca signed the reform order. "Effective immediately." Marcus did not reach for the financing document. "When does the audit begin?" "Today." "The suspended complaints?" "Reopened within 72 hours. Then, the investment committee reconvenes after the first preservation report." "You still won't release the funds?" the director asked. "I said the door could reopen. I did not say we would walk through it blind." At Gate 7, Nina removed the laminated PX1 notice. It left a pale rectangle on the wall. Owen stood beside her with a fresh sheet. "Passenger reassignment rights." He read the first sentence twice before fixing it over the empty space. "A confirmed passenger may not be displaced for preference, influence, or internal status." The corners curled outward. Nina taped them flat. Tessa approached without her badge. "May I see it?" Owen stepped aside. She read the line protecting employees who questioned an order, then secured the loose bottom edge herself. Marcus watched from the conference room window. His phone showed 3 missed calls from Avery and a new photograph. The studio was crowded. Danielle's portrait hung beneath the repaired lamp. Beside it, Marcus's chair remained empty. Rebecca joined him. "There's a charter ready." "No staff?" "No staff." He closed the folio. "Send the first report to Simone, not the press. And the deal. When the new rules survive their first test." Below, the old privilege list disappeared into an evidence box. The new notice stayed on the wall, slightly crooked, but visible to everyone. Marcus checked the time, lifted his suitcase, and headed for the exit, while the empty chair in Avery's photograph waited beneath a light that was still burning. At 7:38 p.m., Marcus entered Avery's studio, carrying his suitcase and the worn leather folio. The crowd was gone. Folding chairs stood in uneven rows, and the repaired lamp cast a warm circle over Danielle's photograph. Beside it, the chair Avery had saved for him was still empty. Avery stacked programs without turning. "You missed the speeches." "I know. 3 people asked where you were." "What did you tell them?" "That my father was dealing with an airline." Marcus set the folio on the empty chair. "I'm sorry." She faced him, holding one shoe with a broken heel. "Was the deal saved?" "Not today." "So you missed this and still didn't sign?" "They changed a report after removing me. I stopped the transfer until the records were protected." "Did they know who you were?" "Not until afterward." "And then they cared?" "Yes." The lamp buzzed above Danielle's photograph. "Mom would have hated that," Avery said. "She did." Marcus opened the folio and handed her the old family picture. On the back, Danielle's faded words remained. "Choose the person before the deal." "You kept this?" "Every day." "That isn't the same as following it." "No." Avery lifted 2 chairs. "Help me stack these." Marcus removed his coat and followed her. Metal legs scraped concrete. Rain tapped the windows. They did not pretend the evening could be restored. When the last row was cleared, Avery pointed to an architectural model. "My next project. 40 apartments. Shared childcare downstairs." "Will you show me the plans tomorrow?" "At 9. "I'll be here." She held his gaze. "Don't promise. Arrive." 3 weeks later, the airline released its first independent report. 83 PX-1 interventions were reviewed, 41 complaints were reopened, and every forced reassignment now required 2 recorded approvals and a written reason. Employee reports went to an outside office. Executive bonuses depended on verified compliance, not falling complaint totals. Graham's dismissal became final. Celia resigned and surrendered messages showing that senior leaders had pressured teams to protect privileged travelers. Elliot lost his advisory position and was barred from influencing passenger operations. Valerie cooperated, completed retraining, and returned only in a non-supervisory role. Tessa kept her pension under whistleblower protection. She helped write a training scenario based on Flight 714, beginning with one question: what exact safety rule was broken? Lena never released her recording for attention. After submitting it, she sent Marcus one message: the file mattered because the room was quiet. Owen received formal discipline for relying on an unverified report. Months later, Nina watched him stop a rushed removal at Gate 7. "What exactly did the passenger do?" he asked. The new notice remained slightly crooked on the wall. Only after the first audit passed did Marcus authorize the financing. The agreement included outside oversight and protection against layoffs connected to the review. At the signing, Rebecca offered him seat 1A for the return flight. "Any confirmed seat will do," Marcus said. That evening, he reached Avery's studio at 8:52, 8 minutes early. She waited with 2 cups of coffee. He placed Danielle's photograph beneath the repaired lamp. This time, the chair beside it was not empty. Have you ever watched someone be dismissed, misjudged, or pushed aside while everyone else stayed quiet? Share what happened in the comments and tell us whether one witness, one recording, or one honest question changed the outcome. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on clothing, wealth, influence, or a job title. Sometimes justice begins before the public apology. In the moment, one person decides not to look away. Subscribe for more stories about accountability, quiet resilience, and the changes that become possible when ordinary people preserve the truth. Your voice may help another viewer recognize the moment when silence stops protecting peace and starts protecting the wrong decision.